Hello, welcome to the August wrap-up, and, yes, I did move the whiteboard down here for you. I can't, like, can you see it? I don't know, but, it's there. I'm gonna start off with saying, stay to the end of the video. Like, after I do the outro, you will have some, grade A clips of my dogs trying to cuddle me, as I try to film the intro to this, which is just lovely. I had to like close the door. I had to lock them out of here, so that I could film this. So this is gonna be faster than normal, so that I can like let them back in and give them kisses and cuddles because they're adorable. But reading wrap up. I read 17 books and DNF'd one book in August with an average rating of 3.69. This time around, I'm gonna do it differently. Normally, I go through all my vlog books and then all the others and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna go chronological because that's like how I write it down. And I'm actually gonna tell you the ratings. But also I'm gonna tell you like statistic stuff because I like statistics. So this part's just for me. But in the 17 books I read, and the like I think 136-ish pages of the one I DNF'd, I read a total of 5,148 pages with an average of 166 per day. Most days I did not read anything, and then other days I would read like 500, so do with that as you will. I read, in format-wise, 6 mixed media, one of which was with the physical book I read, the one physical book I read. I also like read it as an audiobook at the same time, and then the other 5 were ebooks and audiobooks at the same time. And then 9 ebooks on their own and 3 audiobooks on their own. And then, because I wanna grab the iPad to talk about the different star ratings. I believe one of them I did not rate. Yes, that isn't the DNF one. One of them I did not rate. And then I rated one 2.5 stars, 3 3 stars, 4 3.5 stars, 5 4 stars, and 3.4 star, or 3 4.5 stars. Which means I read no 5 stars, but that's fine. And that's the basic rundown with all the statistics. Fun times. I'm just gonna go straight into it. Starting off with the first book that I read, technically finished. I think I have read like most of it, maybe 2/3 of it, in July, and I finished it in August, and that was Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa, which was for my rereading books vlog. All vlogs mentioned will be linked below as normal. And I rated it 4 stars. Still, I kept the rating at 4 stars. It is about a siren and her trying to figure out why a bunch of fae warriors in general are being kidnapped, but just specifically, like, the female ones are being sent back, but they're pregnant and also in a coma and all this stuff. But also it's about her relationship with the bargainer, who is like the king of this one specific realm that she has a bunch of debt to, and their whole relationship. That's really all I'm gonna go into it. But yeah, liked it, kept it at 4 stars. And then I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which I also rated 4 stars. Which, if you like creepy horror books, I recommend. It was really short. I read it in one day, I think. And it was really creepy. I will never look at hair the same. The animal. I will never look at a hair the same. Because it gives me, especially with the mold and the creepy house, it gives me Mexican Gothic vibes. And yeah, after that was the one physical book, which was Frostbite by Rochelle Mead, which I also rated 4 stars. This one was in the weekend reading vlog for August. It has a lower rating only because I was kind of bored. Like, except for the last, like, maybe 75 pages, it was kind of boring. Nothing of importance really happens. And most of these just setting up Rose's relationship with Mason, just for things to happen with him at the end. Just as for Mason. There's, like, almost no Rose and Lissa friendship stuff in here, which is a shame because that's, like, kind of my favorite part in the first one. And a little bit of her relationship with her mother, but, like, that's it. It's not really much of anything else. It's mostly just her and Mason. And that's fine. Like, it's still good. I still liked it. I still love it. But it's not as good as the first one. And for some reason, it's shorter than the first one. But there was that. And then I read Finding Their Bones by Sarah Wolf. That I rated 3.5 stars. I, again, guessed the ending of that one as well. But there was less romance in the second one than in the first one, which I read in July. And I'm happy with that, because the romance was my least favorite part. I didn't care. Like, I can handle the plot being very predictable, especially for, like, a YA romance. So I was like, whatever, it's fine. But I have to like the characters and their relationships with each other and all that stuff. And I like the main character kind of, but I hate her relationship with Lucian. And so I just really wanted to die at the end of the first one. And then the whole entire second one ending was very predictable. I kind of guessed what was going to happen. But all the stuff with her underground with the worm thing was actually very interesting. Like, I really, really liked that part. And her relationship with Lucian's sister and his sister's girlfriend, who was, like, one of her friends in the first book, but now knows that she's a Heartless, like, all this stuff. That stuff I liked. Mostly because there was less Lucian. And when there was Lucian, it was mostly her being like, I'm sorry, I'll make it up to you, and trying to, like, help save the world. Type thing to make it up to him. Meanwhile, he's, like, still got a thing for her, but shouldn't have a thing for her and all this stuff. And it's kind of upset that his sister's controlling her. I don't know. But that's my thought on that one. And then we go into the beginning, or at least the first two books, for the yellow monochromatic reading vlog. The first one was The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, which I rated 3.5 stars. I feel like everyone, at least everyone who identifies as female, should read this book. Like, it's really short. It's about this woman who has postpartum depression, and her husband and brother are both doctors and white men, so they know what's best for her, which includes taking her away from her whole entire support system and taking her to this lodging in the middle of nowheres, and she really dislikes it there. And slowly she starts to, like, see things in the wallpaper, like things moving, a girl trying to, like, escape the wallpaper, which is, like, supposed to be a mirroring of her trying to escape this life type thing. And she eventually, like, she really does not like it there. It does not help any of her mental health issues, so she wants to go back home, but he won't let her. He forces her to stay. Basically, anything that she says she wants to do that she thinks will help benefit herself, he vetoes and is like, no, because I am one, a doctor, and two, your husband, so you have to do what I say. If she doesn't get better by the end of this, like, 3-month period, then he's gonna send her to an asylum, which is great. We love that. And so basically it's a horror book of, one, her going crazy and seeing things, but two, her husband's treatment of her. I think it was, like, written in the 1800s or something. Like, it's very ahead of its time, and I really liked it. 3.5 stars. And it's really short, and, like, everyone should read it. On the other end of the spectrum was The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare, which I rated 2.5 stars. I am contemplating bringing it down to at least a 2, maybe a 1.5. Because I'm still angry. This one should have been a horror. It was a romantic comedy. Well, in reality it's a horror, but it's rated like a romantic comedy. It was supposed to be a romantic comedy. About the base story is about these two sisters. One of them is a shrew, the other one's like this beautiful, perfect girl, and everyone wants to marry the beautiful, perfect one, but the father says that no one can marry her until the older one, who is the shrew, gets married. And so there's a bunch of different men who are like, well, I'm gonna set up different plans to get her to fall in love with me. Anyways, one of them has a friend who comes to visit, and he's like just inherited his whole entire family's estate or something, and he just wants to marry a rich wife. He doesn't care what she's like personality-wise or anything. So he's like, I'll marry the shrew for you so you can marry the sister and all this stuff. So the guy who wants to like marry the nice one like goes undercover, and he has like a servant pretend to be him, all that stuff. Meanwhile, this other guy whose name is almost the same exact as his, that was very confusing, basically forces the shrew to marry him, and then after they get married, both him physically by making her so she can't sleep or eat or anything, and also emotionally and mentally abusing her until she submits to everything he does. And then like afterwards her sister gets married to his friend and all that stuff, and everyone's like, oh, they're so happy, and the shrew listens to him, and everyone's like so proud of him. Every man's like, good job, including her father and the man that married her sister. And it's all like, yes, go, this man who was able to tame the shrew and actually just like killed her whole entire personality and will to live and all this stuff. And if it was actually written like a horror, it could have been so good, but it was written like a romantic comedy, and I just hated every second of that. And that's my thoughts on that. I should lower the rating, but we'll see. Then we get to the books that I read just for H, which was The Wicker King by Kay Ingram, which is about two boys in 2003, Jack and August. I think it's Jack that goes crazy and starts seeing things. And so August has to, like, is trying to help him with his visions and all this stuff. But also, like, it's very obvious from a 2022 standpoint that these boys gay and really like each other, and it takes a long time for them to admit it. But basically, it's all about one boy's visions and the other one's trying to help him through them, and the effects it has on both of their lives and all their relationships. And then that one I rated 4.5. And then the novella, which is from the point of view of the one who is seeing visions and is very weird, is The Legend of the Golden Raven. It's like super short. It's like 30 something pages, and it switches back and forth between specific scenes in the book and from his point of view and what he sees in his visions, like the story he imagines in his visions. And that one I rated 3 stars. And then we get to the one I DNF'd, which was Feed by Mirgrant, which is a zombie apocalypse book. It's like a chunker. It's like 500 pages. I got like a fifth of the way through somehow. Basically, it's about these two siblings. They're adopted. I was reading it in a book club, and a lot of people brought up the weird relationship between the siblings. Like, it was a little suspicious. But basically, there's a zombie apocalypse. It's many years later, post-apocalypse, and they are journalists who get invited on a presidential campaign thing to report on it and all that fun stuff. That's what I know about it. I stopped kind of early on. I liked all the stuff about the post-apocalyptic world, like how security systems work, cleaning systems, how all this is set up so they can keep people safe and all this fun stuff. But the political stuff I didn't care about. I had zero urge to pick it back up. Maybe if I had the audiobook, but I couldn't get my hands on the audiobook, so it was not a time. I was not having a good time. I feel like I've said previously that Mirgrant's writing for me is better if it's in short form, so novellas, and yet I picked up a super long book by her, and it's my own fault because like I should have known, but it's for a book club, so I was like, might as well. But yeah, I think at this point it's official that I'm just gonna keep with her short form literature because that tends to be more my speed. Sorry about that, someone just went on the road. And the dogs decided to bark up a storm. So, quick break. The after feed, I went into back for the Yellow Monochromatic vlog. So the next one I read for that was Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, which I rated 4 stars. I like the writing style, how she writes characters. Weight of Blood, I'm pretty sure comes out in September, so I'm like really excited for that one. The conversations about violence against Black women and how people don't believe them unless if there's like a white woman or someone passing who stands behind them and is like, yeah, but I also experienced this, or like dozens of them, or like physical evidence. These are actual plot points in this book. It's about Enchanted, who wants to be a singer, but her family doesn't find it as a sustainable career for a Black woman going to a mostly white school. I think there's like one other Black kid, and everyone always wants her to date him just because they're both Black. And there's one other, I think she's mixed race person at school, but everyone assumes that she's white because she's white passing and all that. And so like she's a Black woman from a lower income household with a large family in a white neighborhood, so like they don't find a singing career sustainable for her. But she goes to this competition, meets this famous singer afterwards who invites her to a concert of his, and then basically he starts grooming her to get her to leave her parents and join him on the road for his tour, and so he can eventually kidnap her and assault her constantly, physically and emotionally abuse her, separate her from her family, all this stuff, until she eventually escapes and goes back home, and they decide to go to the police because he starts stalking her to try and get her back. And the police say, and like there's a bunch of stuff about how, well, technically she initially went of her own free will, so it's not really kidnapping, and also there's like no real evidence. And also, technically, she's 18 now, so it's fine, even though she was 17 and he's like 28. There's like a bunch of stuff like that. But it's also like a mystery because it starts off with her waking up in the middle of the night, or waking up in the middle, I don't know when she wakes up, but she wakes up and she's like covered in blood, and he's dead. Her assaulter is dead. And the police are banging the door and they assume she's the one to have done it, but she has like no memories of the night and all this stuff. So it's like, we know that he's gonna die and all this stuff. And so it's a lot of us knowing what's going to happen to her and just hoping she gets out of there. And then eventually she gets out, and then she has to go back to him because he blackmails her, and then he ends up being dead, and then the police assume it's her, so she's trying to prove that's not her, and finding a bunch of his other victims, finding evidence of all the assault he did, and all this stuff. And like, it's very, very heavy, fam. But the writing style and such is very good, 4 stars. And then there was Recursion by Blake Crouch, which is sci-fi, time travel-y kind of, with memory stuff. Basically, this woman, in a way to cure Alzheimer's, makes this, basically a chair, but a device to make it so you can go back into your memories and such. And then this rich guy pays for all the stuff so that he can use it to make it so you can alter your memories, and then it changes the timeline. But also, once you end up back to the time when you went into the chair, that's when you and everyone who was in those memories remembers the original version of the timeline. And then because of that, people go crazy, and some of them kill themselves. And there's this detective who's noticing this pattern, and because he notices the pattern, he gets taken by the guy who's taking control of the chair, and puts him in his own memories. And over time, the two, the detective guy and the woman who created the chair, start to work together and have to work together to basically destroy the chair so that humanity doesn't use it to end itself. Which is very difficult because humanity really trying to end itself with this chair. And that was my 99th book of the year, which is why we gotta go into the one that I didn't rate. The 100th book of the year. You will get the vibe of the book instantly because the cover should be up already by now, and it is Ravished by the Triceratops by Chrissy Sims. It's like 13 pages. It's about a woman in this culture. It's like dawn of time type times, I don't know. There's this thing where once you become a woman, to become a part of the community fully and be able to get married, you have to kill a beast, aka a dinosaur. And so her and two other girls are going through it. She is considered the most beautiful and all this stuff, and is also going to, after this, marry the chief's son. And like, she notices that the chief is super jealous of his son for having her body and all this stuff. And she decides that the beast that she's gonna try to kill is the most dangerous one of all, the Triceratops, or the Trihorn. So then they have to go out naked, with only weapons that they take, and overnight kill their beasts. And before she goes out, sexy times with her fiance, and then she goes out and hunts down the beast, and she like sets up this trap and all this stuff, and it almost works, but in the process it like breaks one of its horns or something, and it cuts up her side. Because its horn is broken, its mate leaves him, and so he takes her back to his cave and takes her as his new mate. I don't know how else to say this. Like, spicy dancy. It goes very into detail on how the gymnastics of how it would works. I don't know why I read it at like 8 p.m. It was a time. I read it purely because someone mentioned it on Sprites. It was 13 pages. It was a perfect book to read for my 100th book of the year. Yeah. And then she goes back home and she's like, you know what? I didn't kill one, but I know how we tame them. And that's how the book ends. And for some reason, I actually want like 10 pages more or something. Like, I want it to be double the length, so I know what happens after she gets home and she tells them that. Like, give me something here. Yeah, that was a time. After that was the last book for the yellow monochromatic vlog, which was Twice Shy by Sarah Hulkel, which became my favorite book of the month, at 4.5 stars. It was honestly a big surprise. Most people don't like it. It's about, I want to say her name's like Mabel or something. She is looked over by her best friend. I have thoughts about the best friend, Gemma. By her place of employment, all this stuff, constantly. She's not living her best life. And so she's living in the clouds, kind of, to try to get through her life, until this woman comes up to her at work and is like, hey, your super rich aunt, great aunt died. She left you her stuff. And so she packs up all her stuff and moves out to her great aunt's house to find that it is basically crumbling down. And also that she co-inherited it with the groundskeeper who lives on the property, and there's basically no money left in the bank account. So that's fun. Basically, the two of them have to work together to clean out the house because she became a hoarder later in life. So they have to clean out the house, and she decides she wants to turn it into a hotel and live the career she always wanted and she thought she got, and he wants to turn it into an animal sanctuary. Slowly, romance ensues. The spicy dance scenes, hell yeah. The first, like, third of it was a bit slow because, like, he was very just rude to her and such. But as soon as, like, he started growing on her, or she started growing on him, and they started talking and actually having a friendship and whatnot, it was good. So I liked it. I really liked it. If you couldn't tell by me rating it 4.5 stars. It was great, and I'm glad I read it. After that, I went into the fishing series vlog. The first one being Ruin Rising by Lee Bardugo, which I rate 3.5 stars. I'm not gonna go much into these ones because, like, they're the last books in series, so spoilers. That whole entire vlog is spoilers. But basically, I wish people had died, and I wanted more Darkling. Our Violin Ends by Chloe Gong, I rated 3 stars. The gay romance I wanted happened, and I cared 0% about anything else. Like, I didn't care about anything really. It was well written. Like, I'll read her other books. I liked it in general. It's just not my speed. After Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Another contemporary romance that has to do with a hotel. Well, it's bed and breakfast, but still. I rate that one 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. Eves and Jacob Wayne, I finally remembered his name. Their romance is beautiful. I love them. It took a bit for me to feel the emotional connection between the two of them, but once I got it, it was a good soup. And then we can go into the last 2 books I read, which were not for vlogs. The first one was The Troop by Nick Cutter, which I rated 3 stars. It is a book about a Boy Scout group from a small town in Canada, who are on this little deserted island thing to get their badges or whatever with their troop leader, who's like the town doctor, all this stuff. When this sick man shows up, and so like they kind of quarantine the man. A bunch of other stuff happens, a bunch of weird creepy things. It gave me Lord of the Flies vibes, like, a lot, and only slightly better, but that's because the horror stuff was kind of interesting. The my favorite parts were at the end of a chapter. Every once in a while there would be stuff cataloged for the kind of investigation afterwards, after everything that happens on the island happens, where a bunch of kids die. But basically, they are, like, investigating, the doctors who made the thing that caused the sickness. The army guy who, blocked them off, like, all these kids off from the mainland, which led to a bunch of deaths. And the guy who shot one of the kids, like, that's an actual plot point. And, yeah, it's interesting. There's basically these doctors who created, like, a type of tapeworm, kind of, to like, make a kind of diet pill type thing. And, like, part of the stuff, like, evidence they use for the investigation that's at the end of all those chapters is, like, logs from them giving it to different animals. I think one of them's mice. One of them is a chimpanzee, and it's very, very interesting reading about them. Like, you could tell they, like, went straight up crazy after the first few hours. So, like, clearly they shouldn't have continued to do it onto human testing, but they did. So basically the tapeworm thing makes you eat anything and everything, yeah. eventually it kills you. Like, it, like, eats everything inside of you and kills you. Yeah, that's it. There's, like, one, of the kids is, like, a sociopath. Or psychopath, one of the two. I don't know which one. So, like, there's also that where you're, like, reading about the psychopath kid, torturing the other kids while also being infected. Like, there's all these kids who are infected. It was kind of creepy, but not what I wanted. I really did not like the characterization of the kids in general, which is where the Lord of the Flies reminder really comes in. So I gave it 3 stars. And then I reread The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, just for fun, and I rated it 4.5 stars. If you don't know what Percy Jackson and The Lightning Thief is about, basically, he is the secret son of Poseidon, and a bunch of monsters, like, since that he's a demigod. So, they try to kill him. Eventually, he ends up at a camp for demigods. That's when he learns that Poseidon is his father. Zeus, whose thunderbolt has been stolen, assumes that he was the one to steal it. And so, there's a lot of gods being douchebutts. And so he has to go on a quest with his best friend Grover and his girl Annabeth to go and find the lightning bolt and or prove to Zeus that he wasn't the one to steal it. And they assume that Hades was the actual one to steal it, and a bunch of other stuff. The setup for later books in this book is amazing. I will fight Luke. He could cut me in half easily, but before he cuts me in half, I will kick him in the no-no square, because I will fight that man's. So that was amazing. The writing in general is great. The characterizations are great. The comedy's great. The character relationships, especially the friendship group of Annabeth, Grover, and Percy, like, his relationship with each of them separately is very beautiful. Yeah, it's, like, just a good book. And I gave 4.5 stars, and that was the last one I read of August. So that's that. That took longer than expected. That's fine. And I'm going to leave this video off. If you like the video and subscribe. This linked below is all the vlogs mentioned in this video, as well as all my social media stuff, so go check those out. And that is all. Let me know if you like this format better than the other one I was doing. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Had some dog interrupted that are gonna come on camera. Oh my god! Are you coming on camera? Oh. Go lay down so I can film. Yeah, I gotta film. Look at all these books I read. I gotta talk about them. I read some of them to you. You should know about them. You want to talk about them? Go tell the people. Tell the people about the books. Tell the people about the books. Oh no, there's a second one. There's a second one. Oh no. Are you gonna want me film? You gonna want me film? Yes, that's my lap.